Welcome back, friends. In this tutorial, I'm going to talk about two-dimensional relative motion. And before I jump into this example, I will again talk about the basics of the relative motion. So if let's say if there's a plane which is moving at 1000 kilometers per hour in the east direction, I'm going to call this velocity as VA. This is the actual velocity with which the pilot is flying it at. And then the air is blowing or the wind is blowing at 100 kilometers per hour in the west direction, and you are standing on the ground. You are observing this pattern, and what is the plane's velocity? What is the plane velocity with respect to you or with respect to the ground? And wanted to find this value. So this looks a really simple example. You're going to say this is 1000 minus 100, which will be 900 kilometers per hour. So what you actually did was that you said that Vg, because if I apply the vector addition, you said that Vg equal to V air, or the V actual velocity with which the pilot is flying it at, plus VW, because it's a vector quantity. So I'm going to take this value as negative because this is in the west direction and this is in the east direction. And then you find out the VG value. VG value came out to be 900 kilometers per hour. So the basic idea is that by doing this exercise, we've generated a formula that Vg is equal to Va plus Vw, where air velocity plus the wind velocity is equal to the ground velocity. So we're gonna use this formula to solve the 2D problem also. So in this question, if I look into this question, I'm gonna erase this, and let's look into this question now. So the velocity, air velocity of a jetliner. What is the air velocity? I wanted to find the air velocity. If the ground velocity is given to me, Vg is given to me, which is 856 kilometers per hour. And if this is at an angle of 25 degrees west of south. So if I draw this one on a navigation system, so this is insert, I have to draw. So this is 856, 25 degrees west of south. So this angle is 25 degrees. So if this angle is 25 degrees, I can convert this angle as 65 degrees. I usually like to convert all the angles which are given to me with respect to vertical. I like to convert it with respect to the horizontal, because this total is 90. So I can call this angle as 65 degrees. So I figured out the angle. This is 856. And so the value will be 856 cos of 65. This value comes out to be 361.7. So I'm going to call it as VGX is 361.7, and VGY, which is this component, VGY, I'm going to call it VGX. So VGY value comes out to be 856 sine of 65. So that comes out to be 775.8. I'm going to call it as this much kilometers per hour. So now the wind velocity is given to me, which is 65 kilometers in the south direction. And so I'm going to call it as, this is only in the south direction, wind velocity. So this is 65 kilometers per hour, VW. So I can say VWX value will be 0, VWY, this is a very simple, this is only a one-dimensional vector, so I'm going to take the x component 0. VWY will be equal to how much? It will be 65 kilometers per hour. So we figured out both the components. Now what we will do is we will apply the equation which we learned earlier, that Vg equal to Va plus Vw. This is the equation I'm going to apply, and I'm going to apply this equation in x direction, and then I'm going to apply this equation in the y direction also. I'm going to call it as VGX, VAX, VWX. So VGX value is given to me 361.7, and this is in the west direction. The directions are really important in this case. So because it is in the west direction, I'm going to use the negative sign here. And VAX we wanted to find out, and VWX is how much? This is equal to 0. So VAX comes out to be negative 361.7, or I can call it as 361.7 south. Oh, oops, not south, in the west direction. and then I'm gonna try and find out, let's apply the same equation, Vg this equation in the y direction. So this is Vgy equal to Vay plus Vwy. Air velocity in y direction will be equal to Vay. This will be plus minus 65 because this is in the negative direction, and this is negative 775.8. Why? Because this was in south direction and this one was also in south direction. So the directions are really important in this case, so don't miss out the directions, otherwise you'll end up making a mistake in the question. Vay is equal to negative 7. I'm gonna make some space here. So negative 775.8, this becomes 6 plus 65. So 775.8 will be, this is 710, negative 710.8. This is Vay, or I can call it as Vay equal to 710.8 in south direction. So I'm gonna erase this now. I'm gonna make some space. Because I have the Vax component and Vay component, I can easily find the final value. So I'm gonna draw it again on the navigation system. So this value is in the south direction. So south will be somewhere here, and that is 710.8, and this, the other value Vx is 361.7. I think beyond this point you guys know I wanted to find the resultant. So if this vector is outward, this is the origin point. If this vector is pointing outward, this vector is pointing outward from the origin, your final resultant vector has to be outward. Remember this thing. Do not draw it like this. That will be wrong. That's not how the vectors are added. So now I will draw the resultant. This is the resultant. This is Va, and this vector is equal to this vector, so I'm going to call it 710.8. so 710.8 square plus 361.7 square, and then square root answer. That's going to give me 824.3. So this value comes out to be, Va comes out to be 824.3 kilometers per hour. I can also find this angle theta now. So this is 710.8 divided by 361.7, and this is the values, shift tangent inverse, answer equal to, angle will be at an angle of 63 degrees. I'm gonna briefly check these values one more time. 61.7 square plus 710.8 square, and then square root answer. Oops, see, that's where I was also thinking I've made a mistake. So this value is 797.5. so this value comes out to be 797.5 kilometers per hour, or I can say 798 kilometers per hour at an angle of 60 degree. No, this is south of west. So this angle given to us is south of, so this is south of west, and you can also write it as 798 kilometers per hour as an angle. 90 minus 63 is 27 degrees west of south. So both answers are correct. So that's it for today's video. Hopefully you were able to understand about the relative velocity. Have a good day. Bye.